All right. First question says the function of a rural settlement is, obviously, it's a rural settlement. It's a unifunction. All right. Question 3, the site of a settlement is the exact land occupied by the settlement, which is Y. The purpose of the landform in South Africa, the purpose of the landform in SA is, the purpose of the landform in SA is basically to decrease poverty. Then the land reform. Then ensures communal land rights of the farm workers. Ensures communal land rights of the farm workers, which is basically why. Then we go to government allocates land to privately disadvantaged people. Privately disadvantaged people is Z. Then challenges associated with land reform. Challenges associated with land reform is Y. The result of well-managed landform, is Y. So that is our first question. We go to 1.2. 1.2 says a central place town is services that surround rural areas. Services the surrounding rural area. Services the surrounding rural area. We go to the next question. Next question says, A is classified as a low order good compared to B because, obviously, because A has a lower price and is consumed regularly. You know, everyone wants bread. Okay. 1.23 range refers to buy a product. Obviously, it refers to the maximum distance a consumer or a buyer is willing to travel for a certain good. So the maximum distance traveled becomes C. Okay, we proceed. The range of a high order good is D, large due to its high cost. Put D here. Okay, then we continue. Refers to the minimum number of customers needed to make a business profitable. Obviously, that is a B, threshold population. Okay. The threshold population of grocery store. The threshold population of a grocery store, you know that we buy things on a daily basis, is high. But why? Because it's more low order goods. So they will take our B. Okay. We proceed. The area from which a settlement draws its customers is its area from which a settlement draws its customer is the sphere of influence, so, which is basically also B. 1.28. Sphere of influence of a city is greater than a village because it has what? Let's see, we're looking at a city. When you look at the city here, you compare or you look at the cities here in terms of the population, but in terms of the radius in kilometers, is somewhere around 75. So when you compare that, you have this, the radius is smaller or the radius is larger. When you look at the village, it is smaller, but when you look at the city, is larger. So we take the large and it is, which means it is D. Okay, we go to 1.3. 1.3 is the population, the depopulation in Alfred Nzo district municipality. Here we have the two graphs, the urban and the rural, the population in million and the yards. So we read the extract and say villages in the Alfred Nzo district municipality in a remote Eastern Cape cover thousands of hectares along the N2 national road. Extreme social and economic poverty exists in these villages. This is a common problem in many other parts of rural South Africa. The Alfred Nzo District Municipality is the most impoverished, poor rural region in the country, where more than 65% of the people live below the poverty line and 70% of the population is not economically active. These extreme social and economic conditions are made worse by limited access to services, especially water, healthcare, education. Fewer economic activities have a negative social and economic impact on the area. Rural settlements are no longer an attractive option for rural dwellers. Okay. What evidence in the graph? We're using the graph here. What evidence in the graph indicates that rural depopulation has been taking place since 2020. Come to the graph. When you compare 2020, look at the population. From 2020, the population keeps on decreasing. So it moves from somewhere around 17 and it has dropped to somewhere around 11, which is a significant indication that rural settlement was taking place. The evidence is that the graph of rural settlement shows a decreasing trend. The graph in the rural settlement shows a decreasing trend. The rural graph shows decreasing trend of the population. Shows the decreasing trend of the population. Name two social services in the extract that are lacking in Alfred Nzo district. Social services that are lacking in Alfred Nzo district. Number one, here we have limited access to water, then also here we have limited access to education, we have limited access to health care, limited access to health care. So any of those ones, the question is 2 points. Therefore, you should make sure that the 2 points exist. The next one is name two possible reasons, give two possible reasons for the lack of social services in Alfred Nzo. In other words, why Alfred Nzo is facing this challenge of limited social services. One is that the biggest population is economically inactive. Most of the population is economically inactive. In other words, the population is not active. Second one is the population, most of the people, 65% of the people live below poverty line. 65% people in Alfred Nzo live below poverty line. Okay. The next question says, suggest sustainable measures that could be implemented by the municipalities of rural areas to reduce the negative economic impact. In other words, what can be done to reduce that negative economic impact in rural areas? So we can say provide services, provide services rural areas. When I talk about services, for example, water, healthcare, etc., we can also say encourage industrial decentralization or practicing industrial decentralization So when industries are extended to rural areas, it will simply mean they will reduce the negative impact on the economy or in the area. You can also say improving rural infrastructures, improve rural infrastructures. When I talk about rural infrastructures, I'm basically referring to roads, that will encourage easy accessibility to rural areas. We go to 1.4. Refer to the extract A and the sketch B based on the commercial decentralization. CBD decentralization here to stay. The Central Business District CBD is the original commercial business center of the city. There are now many outlying business districts OBD caused by the commercial decentralization. Apart from the physical expansion of the urban settlements that made CBD more difficult to reach, the causes for growing decentralization of the businesses include high rents, crimes, population, and the lack of parking. Well-located decentralization nodes remain sought after the businesses looking for secure premises for their companies, park-like surroundings, and sufficient parking facilities. Office parks, neighborhood shopping centers, and regional shopping malls are often close to sought-after residential areas, suburbs, which provide a customer base. Okay. The next question is, we can look at the graph, we can see the parking space that is provided around the cities or the outlying business districts. And when you look at the CBD here, there is no parking space. It's all over congested with the building density, very tall, so close to each other. There is no space for further expansion. The first concept to be defined is commercial decentralization. Define commercial decentralization. Commercial decentralization as a concept could be defined as when businesses extend away from the CBD to the outskirts of the rural areas. Extension of businesses to the rural areas or to new areas, to occupy the new areas. Now that in this case, we are looking at the OBD. The next question is 31 factor evident in the CBD photograph B that encourages commercial decentralization. No parking space, or we can say lack of parking as one of the factors. You can give as many as possible. Lack of parking space, the high population, etc. But basically, there's no parking space for cars. So it is ever congested. We say, how do high rentals and crime mentioned in the extract lead to the increasing commercial decentralization? We're looking at the high rentals, and we are basically focusing on the high rentals and crimes. If the rent is too high for the commercial people or the business sector, what is the problem? High rent reduces the profit margin. Profit margin for businesses. So you find out that when the profit margin decreases, this will lead to people moving away from other areas. And we also say high crimes also makes businesses very insecure. So in other words, the businesses, the property, the monies, and all that will not be safe for the business owners. So they prefer to go to areas that look suspicious and safe for them to have their businesses running smoothly. Okay, explain why neighborhood shopping centers are attractive options for the location of businesses. Why are they attracting options? They're attracting options because they have got sufficient parking space. Sufficient parking space. Also, we can say it's an option because they are safe, they are secure. Also, they are secure. Secure. In other words, it is safe for business people to have their companies to run. For companies to run in the businesses outside. Okay, we go to the next question. The next question says, how can the increase in the number of neighborhoods, that is the shopping centers, have a negative impact on businesses in the CBD? We shall say here that most businesses will from the CBD, businesses will relocate to the OBD from the CBD. And that means if the businesses, the business margin or the businesses in the CBD reduce, it will reduce the number of activities that are taking place in the CBD, which will be a negative impact on the businesses, okay, or the business people. Besides that, since it is 2 times 2, you can also look at that it will reduce the customer base. Reduce the customer base for the businesses in the CBD. Okay, that will be reduced. We go to 1.5. 1.5 has got a diagram which shows very many vehicles in the same space. So it says 60 commuters are in 24 vehicles. But here, or 24 cars, but here we have 60 commuters in 5 minibuses in the same space. So there is space there. And then 60 in one bus, which simply means for us here is that very many cars, they all commute, they all pollute the environment. And because there are too many, there will be high rate of pollution. But when you look at here, the minibuses, very many people are going to be in a few minibuses. And when you look at the other diagram, one bus has very many commuters. And there is a lot of space. In other words, the amount of pollution won't be the same. We go to the extract we have below. The extract we have below here says the impact of the public transport and traffic congestion. The use of public transport is encouraged because it reduces traffic congestion. In South Africa, the most common form of public transport is the use of the mini taxis, Although public transport, for example, the minibus taxis and the buses plays a valuable role in reducing the number of private vehicles on the road. It is associated with a number of challenges. These challenges associated with economic injustices to commuters. Okay. According to the source, what type of transport would create the most traffic? Obviously, that is going to be the private cars. The private cars or vehicles. Give the reason for your answer. Here we see many vehicles with few commuters. Few commuters. Okay. How can they improve the public transport system, decrease traffic congestion? If there is enough, in other words, how can improve the public transport? If they improve the public transport, how can it reduce the traffic congestion? That simply means that many people here, many people will resort to the use of public transport. That is, if it is improved, okay, it will decrease traffic congestion, because now very many people are going to be using the public transport, and if they're using the public transport, it will reduce the number of vehicles. And we shall also see that many vehicles, the number of private cars will reduce. They will reduce for what reason? Because of the fact that the number of vehicles have also reduced. All right. We got the last question on that section. It says, in the paragraph of approximately 8 lines, explain why the use of public transport, such as minibus taxis and buses, could be an economic injustice or concern to public commuters. How is it an economic concern to public users? We say that it's an economic just concern because it is basically associated with the delays. It's associated with delays. Why do we say delays? Because as one bus will be waiting for 60 people, it will take a lot of time for it to get full, which now becomes a problem or a concern to the commuters. Okay. And number 2, we shall say they usually operate at a high speed. Operate at a high speed. They usually operate at a high speed. And this is now, this high speed, then it will limit, it will be causing, it will cause accidents. It will be causing accidents, or it makes it insecure, making it unsafe. Because they operate at high speed. Why? Because they would love to go and secure more load, okay, more people, and therefore that causes problems, accidents to the commuters. It becomes a concern. Number 3, it's usually overloaded. The overload of the buses. This also makes it unsafe. Because they overload as they want to make more money. Also, and lastly, we can say that overcrowding in buses. Overcrowding in the buses. Hence, it also makes it insecure, or it makes it a concern. Okay, we can also talk about the usual breakdown. Usual mechanical breakdown of old buses, which is now causing delay and a concern to the commuters who need to be either at home or at work. So it becomes a problem. We go to question 2. So we are done with question 1. Question 2. Question 2 says, mining is an example of which sector? Obviously, it's the extraction of raw material, of minerals from nature. So it becomes a primary sector. The price of minerals fluctuates in the mining industry due to foreign investment or foreign exchange. It's foreign exchange. Remember, they compare the prices of the minerals to the dollar, which is basically foreign exchange. Geothermal gradient or unskilled labor is an example of a physical factor. Of course, unskilled is not physical. The only answer we have there is the geothermal gradient. Platinum is an example of a renewable or non-renewable resource. Platinum is non-renewable. When it gets used up or it doesn't replace, it's not replaced by the minerals themselves. Platinum is mined in South Africa, in the Western Cape or Northwest. Obviously, platinum is Northwest. That's why they call it the Platinum Province. Platinum is used as a raw material in the production or generation of power or jewelry. Obviously, it's production of jewelry because it's a precious mineral. The next issue here is that labor unrest or labor availability in South Africa impacts negatively. Obviously, it can't be labor availability to impact negatively. Because it is negative impact, it has to be labor unrest. Okay, we go to the next question, 2.2. Various options are given. We need to just write A or B next to the question. The tertiary sector is also referred to as, obviously, the tertiary sector is referred to as the service sector. An example of this activity of the tertiary sector is, which one here, is the foreign exchange. Okay. Countries that are dominated by the tertiary sector reflect they reflect high skilled labor force. Yes, you find it that it will have a high skilled labor force. That is the tertiary sector. Then you look at poor skilled labor. No, that is not a constant. Sufficient transport system, variety of mining activity. That is not part of the tertiary sector. So the answer is 1 and 3. So 1 and 3 makes it C. Okay. We continue. The contractual arrangements between countries relating to their trade relations is known as agreement trade or trade agreement, which is A. Goods are exchanged within a country, is within a country is domestic. Within a country is domestic. Okay. Within a country is domestic. All right. And the type of trade shown on the map. The type of trade shown on the map. The type of trade shown on the map is, you can see this is a continent, this is a continent, it's another continent. So it becomes international trade. Okay. The economic disadvantage of importing goods. Economic disadvantage of importing goods. We are looking at importation of goods. When goods are imported, creation of employment, never. It can't create employment. It just take away the employment. Okay, so that one is wrong. So wherever there is A, it's wrong. Then we say A is wrong. Then they say production suffers locally. That it can be correct. Goods become cheaper. It can be cheaper. Also, good growth of industries. This is not a disadvantage. So the answer is B. 2.8. An advantage of South Africa having a favorable balance of trade. A favorable balance of trade. We'll look at favorable balance of trade, decrease foreign capital. Having a favorable balance of trade, foreign capital decreases. I'll take that one out. Foreign capital, favorable balance of trade, advantage, foreign capital decreases. Okay, and let's say jobs are created. That one is okay because it's trade. You export more than importation. Jobs will be created, which is okay. Retrenchment of workers, it's not true. Stimulates economic growth. That one is very true. So it is Roman number 2 and Roman number 4, which is basically number D or part D. 2.3. 2.3, it's about maize farming in South Africa. More than 10 million tons of maize grown is produced in South Africa annually on approximately 3.1 million hectares of land. Half of the production consists of white maize for human food consumption. Maize needs 450 to 600 millimeters of rainfall per year, which is mainly acquired from the soil moisture reserves. The challenges in maize production include variation in environmental and climatical conditions, poor soils, labor issues, and low yielding seeds, among others. The map here shows the different provinces and where basically maize is grown. Somewhere here we have the graph. First question is, name the province A on the map. Province A on the map is Free State. Okay, refer to the graph and compare the amount. Compare, it can be a difference, it can be a similarity, since it's compared. So when we compare, I will give a similarity, and here we shall see that here the graph is small. When it increases, the graph goes up. When it reduces, the graph, both graphs are fluctuating. So there is fluctuation in production and exports of maize. So there's wherever it increases, it also increases. Wherever it reduces, it also reduces. So that kind of uniform trend of fluctuation happens. Why does South Africa have a large domestic local market for maize? First of all, it has been indicated in the graph here that for human food production. Therefore, it's the staple food for South Africa. Staple food for SA. Besides that, why is it so? It's because maize, because of the climatic conditions. Okay, no, why is South Africa a domestic market for maize? The domestic market for maize, number one, we have just said that it is a staple food because it is used as food. So its consumption is needed. Number two, we say because South Africa has got a very big population that will require that would purchase the maize. The big population that can consume the maize. So the population is very big, so they support the farming. How will the climatic factor reduce maize production? We look at which climatic factor. How will the climatic factors reduce maize production? Which climatic factors we have? We have here variation in environmental and climatic conditions. Those are climatic factors. So we know that limited rainfall amounts affect the growth of maize. Okay, that is how will climatic factor reduce maize production. Affect the growth of maize, that's number one. Then we look at number two, under capital, we see that limited, that is rainfall. Then after seeing the rainfall, the other environmental factor that we have there is environmental. We have the poor soils. Poor soils affects negatively the growth of maize. So there won't be enough fertility in the soil to influence or to favor the growth of maize. And 3.5, it says, explain the economic importance of maize production to South African economy. What is the importance of maize production to South African economy? So we say here, supplements food diety. Okay, that's number one. It supplements food diety. Number two, helps to alleviate poverty. It helps to alleviate poverty. Number three, you can look at the mark allocation. It's only 2 marks, but we can give as many as we can. People are employed in production of maize. Employment in the maize production. So we can have as many options as possible. All right, let's go to 2.4. Refer to the infographic on the Port Elizabeth core industrial region and the Koweka industrial development zone. It is below. Is the extract we are supposed to read and the map we refer to. And read the extract and say, while the automotive sector continues to dominate, the Koweka industrial development zone holds the key to expanding and diversification of the industries of the Port Elizabeth. Okay. The long-term presence of Volkswagen and Isuzu has been lifted by a multi-phase 11 billion investments by Beijing Automotive Group at the industrial development zone. Okay, diversification simply means of industries, allowing greater variety of industries to locate in the area.
There's also a timeline of Quaker-related newspaper headlines. Okay, here it shows the timeline from 2018 to 2023, what has been happening. So the first question is, name the type of transport infrastructure indicated on the map which favors the location of PE industrial region. Obviously, the only transport sector indicated is the harbor. So here, write harbor. The primary or secondary sector dominates the economy of the PE. Obviously, since it is manufacturing, okay, here it's automotive industries, which is basically falling under manufacturing. Manufacturing is falling under secondary. Okay, name one major company in the extract that has invested in the PE core region. The company that we have here is BEIC, which is Beijing Automotive Group. Okay, then they say, quote 2 headlines from the timeline of the work-related newspaper headlines to show a diversification of industries is taking place. Okay, diversification of industries is taking place. I would quote number 1, solar cell factory to open in Equator. Solar cell factory open in Equator. And number 2, we can say aquaculture, which is Quaker new fish farm zone Quaker's new fish farm zone progresses. In other words, there is a fish production, but now fishing is it an example of okay, it's industrial decentralization, but I don't see it as manufacturing. But basically, okay, basically it focuses on project worthy and basically those are the aquaculture farm. Aquaculture is the processing of fish, farming of fish, and they process it basically through canning. Okay. How would this diversification benefit the labor force? It benefits the labor force because income will be generated. The labor force will benefit, income will be generated. Okay. Then, before even the generation of the income, the labor force will be employed in the industrial region. Employment of people in this industrial region will also take place. Okay, explain why the Quaker Industrial Development Zone would be an attractive location for the increased overseas company. Number 1, it will be because of its prospects of power. That is enough power. Enough power. We can see where they say there's enough power generation in this area. For example, new 1,000 MW gas power plant for Quaker. So that means there is power, there's enough electricity, prospects of electricity. Number 2, we can also look at the space for the expansion. Large space expansion. You can see the area close to the harbor and easily extend the industries. Then you also look at the protective harbor. The protective harbor, which is basically assisting in the unloading and the offloading of goods to overseas, okay, for exportation. All right. We have a graph here that shows the informal sector. It shows the informal sector percentage. It is France, it's Germany, South Africa, Greece, Portugal, Spain, USA, etc. And then here there's some extract says the vast majority of informal sector operators, 73%, and well below the income tax, personal tax paid to the government. Threshold of 79,000 rands per annum set by the South African Revenue Services. In addition, many informal sector workers, particularly those in retail, pay VAT tax paid to the goods purchased. However, unlike their counterparts in the formal sector, they are not able to claim their amounts back from the tax authorities. Permits allow people to trade legally. However, the legal requirement of the encouraging informal traders to obtain permits has been met with reluctancy, not wanting. The informal sector is what is supporting because it makes up a large part of the workforce. Further, while earnings are often very low in the informal sector, this type of employment is particularly important for keeping households above the poverty line. The first question is, according to the graph, we use the graph here. In the graph, what percentage of South Africa's population is classified as informal sector? What percentage? The percentage is here because here they say informal sector percentage. So the percentage for South Africa is 20%. So we come here and we take our percentage to be 20%. And they say, give economic reasons that have led to such large informal sector. Number one, high rate of poverty. Because they say, if it wasn't there, very many people are going to be living below the poverty line. So poverty is too high in this country or in South Africa. That's why the informal sectors are also too many. Number two, because the question is 2 times 1, we can also look at another evidence and say that the high rate of unemployment, also the country, you can also look at the high demand of goods and services, etc. Explain the economic importance of the informal sector. How important is the informal sector? Informal sector is important because, number one, people earn a living. People get employed. That's number one. People get employed. So when people get jobs, what is next? They improve the standards of living. Besides that, we can look at the informal sector as it's able to improve standards of living. We can also say that they also pay VAT. And therefore, when they pay VAT, obviously they contribute to the development of the country. So it's of economic importance. The informal sector, explain the economic importance of the informal sector. How is it important? So we can see any of those ones. The last question under that is, in the paragraph of approximately 8 lines, suggest strategies that can be put into, that can be implemented to improve informal sector. Strategies that can be implemented is, for example, the first strategy is providing formal structures, basically improving of stores or improving infrastructures that they can give out to people at lower costs. You can also say providing mobile toilets. Remember, these people do not have toilets to go into, and also their operation areas, they're always very, very unclean. So we can also talk about regular cleaning of the areas where the people are working from. Besides that, we can also say educating the informal workers to improve skills. Educating the informal workers to improve skills. We can also encourage informal workers to group themselves. encourage informal workers to group themselves, in other words, to participate in formal economy, to participate in formal economies, formal economies and service provision. Okay. Then we can also look at others like providing financial inclusion. These people need to be supported financially. They don't have enough money, so they can include them in the financial institutions so that they can also have that security. So we go to the last question, which is question 3. It's about the map that we have. This information shouldn't be skipped. We must read it. Say, Rebecca or Port Elizabeth is a major seaport or harbor and densely populated city in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. It lies in the Algoa Bay in the Indian Ocean. The residential area is on a flatland with an industrial sector at the north end. Rebecca is characterized by a large number of green belts. The Kweka Industrial Development Zone is located close to Quebec. It has a world-class infrastructure which provides increased accessibility of services and industries to the rest of the world. The first question is, the scale on the orthophoto map is 1 centimeter represents 100 meters. Okay. Since it's orthophoto map, these ones 5,000 are out because orthophoto map is 10,000, but it can't be centimeters to 100 centimeters. The right answer is A. Okay, the right answer is A. The coordinates of the stadium. The coordinate of the stadium at F in block B4 on the topographical map is approximately, we look at the map is here, the stadium is here. What is the coordinate? We first of all know that the coordinate will start with the latitude. The latitude is 33, 55. So 55, this one is 56. So before we look at the minutes, we come and check our options given. It's 33, 33, 56, 56, 56. Okay. So when we check here, 33, 56, 56. Okay. So in other words, since it is 56, we take the options that are right. Obviously, 55 is out. Okay. 55 is out and 57 is out because here it is located on 55, 56. Okay. So we check. It's not even half. Not even half. It's somewhere above there. So when we check the options given, since it doesn't reach half, we have a 19 here and a 19 here. Okay, so 19 and 19, one of the two is right. So the first one is okay. Let's check the second options. We have the second option, we have 33. 33 is 33, 25, 33 is, but where is F? F is here. So it is 1, 34, 35, 36. Let's see the options. The options we have, it should be a 36. So the answer is obviously C. Okay. The answer is obviously. All right. So that is 3.12, 3.13. 3.13 is calculate the distance of the runway in meters between 6 and 7. So what do? We come to the area where 6 and 7 is. 6 and 7 is here. So it is from 7 is here and 6 is here. So what do? We have to measure the distance, the straight line distance in meters, in centimeters, from here to 7. And when you put your ruler along from here, when you put your ruler from here to here, the answer I'm getting is 14. You can get a 14.1, but it is 14 there. So if it is 14, what do? They say the formula is here. Actual distance is equal to the map scale, map distance times map scale. What is the map distance? The map distance is 14 centimeters. So map the map scale, since it is orthophoto, it is 10,000. So what are we getting? 14,000. Okay, 140,000 centimeters. So this is the actual distance. So because they want the answer in meters, we divide by 100. So these 2 zeros go with these 2 zeros. The answer becomes this 2, which is 1,400 meters. We go to the next one. Why does the runway between 6 and 7 appear larger on the orthophoto map as compared to the topographic map? First of all, we look at the scale. The scale of the map, the orthophoto, is big, or we can say the scale is 1 to 10,000, whereby the smaller the number, the bigger the scale. The bigger the number, the smaller the number, the smaller the number, the bigger the scale, the bigger the items that are being shown on the map. So in other words, they are enlarged because of the scale. So the scale is bigger, or we can say it's 5 times bigger than the other one, or we can say the scale on the map is 1 to 10,000, which is the same thing. Okay, refer to the topographic map. Use the information below to calculate the magnetic declination. So we have the year difference is 2 years. So if the difference is 2 years, what is next? Is annual change. The annual change, when you check the map, we go back here and we check the map. When you check on the map, the annual change is indicated, mean annual change is indicated as what? As 12. So we come here and we say the mean annual change is 12 minutes west. So the next thing is total change. Total change means it is 12 minutes west times the 2 years. The answer you are getting here is 24 minutes. Okay, 24 minutes west of true north. If it's 24 minutes, that is the change that must have taken place from 2021 to 2023. Okay, so but they want the mean magnetic declination for 2023. So we get the mean magnetic, so we get the magnetic declination for 2021, which is, you check on the map, the one for 2021 on the map, it is 29 degrees 00 minutes. So we come here, say it's 29 degrees 00 minutes. Because it is west of true north, we add 00 degrees 24 minutes. So when you add, you get 29 degrees 24 minutes west of true north, or westward. Please don't miss out the word westward, or west of true north. Okay, we get our 4 marks from there. So we go to the next one. What is the purpose of magnetic declination? Okay, helps to calculate the change. The change must have taken place in that. We go to interpretation, which is 3.2. You refer to these 2 diagrams. You can see that in Z, it's a double stall houses. See little bit of big houses that was tall, very well furnished. And then we can also look at the low income earners here. We can say the middle income earners. This one looks to be large income. This one looks to be low income. Houses close to each other, very small houses out, limited space for trees. You can see the electric lines and so on. Then which photograph X or Y matches area G on the topographic map? Let's go to area G. G is here. When you look at the nature of the streets, where it is located, and here you find out that this one is basically an informal settlement. So when you check here, which one looks like an informal settlement? It's Y. So which photograph marks that? Obviously, it's Y. Okay, give evidence on the map to support your answer. We need evidence on the map. When you check on the map, first of all, you can see that it's located close to the railway line. Number 2, it's also located on the outskirts of the city. Number 3, it's far away. The street patterns, there are no proper street patterns. See, here there are no proper street patterns. The way they are arranged here is not safe. Then you can also look that it is close to the industrial, to the runway. Okay, so we come here, then we give those evidences. Okay, located close to the runway. Located close to the runway. Okay, located close to the runway. Okay, then besides that, we can also say, besides that, we can also say that irregular street pattern is seen on the map. Irregular street pattern is seen on the map. Okay, it's on the outskirts or located close to the railway line, close to the railway line. Then it is also located close to industries. All those evidences are seen on the map, but we only need one. Okay. PE has a number of green belts. Give an example of the green belt type you see on the map. We go to the map and we check which green belts do you see. There is here park. There's a park view. There's a golf course. See, so there are a lot of green belts you can see. So here you can give as many as you can. So there's parks. There's golf course. etc. Then we go to another one. How does the green belt reduce the environmental injustices? No, that the green belts, those are the trees. Trees take in carbon dioxide and releases oxygen. And when it releases oxygen, this regulates the environment temperatures. And when it reduces temperatures, it reduces the environmental injustices. Okay, the next one, give evidence from the topographic map northeast of that block. Okay, BL4 and B4 is heavy industry. Give evidence from the topography that the north end edge in this block is a heavy industry. Let's go to the north end. The north end is here. Okay, why do we say it's a heavy industry? So you can see it's located on the outskirts, located close to the railway lines. There's a railway line here, okay, or the main transport roads. You can see that there are very big industries compared when you compare the plots that are being occupied there. So we can say here, located located at the outskirts. Besides that, if you don't say that, you can say located close to the railway line, transport routes, main transport route. That is, what do we see there? Is a railway line. Okay, you can also look at the plots, big plots of land that is occupied at the outskirts.
You can only big plots and extensive. It can only extend that far if the land is cheap on the outskirts. Okay. Identify the human feature that would limit north end human feature. They are referring to human. We come here, north end is here. Which human feature can hinder extension of this industry? Obviously, the human feature is a cemetery. So we say north end cemetery. North end cemetery. Okay. The next question that we have here is, how would employment opportunities created by the industrial area 8 be economic benefit to the people? It will be of economic benefit to the people because as people are employed, those economic benefits, as they are employed, they earn income, which helps to reduce poverty, okay, and improving standards of living. Okay. Next question is, why is the port located in the rural urban fringe? Why is the airport located in the rural urban fringe? Number one, rural urban fringe has got less settlements. It has less settlements of people. We can also look at the extensive land that can favor the expansion of the airport, that can favor the expansion of the airport. Okay, so when you look at all those things, they can influence the location of the airport there. Refer to block D2 on the topographic map. We got the topographic map. We take D2. D2 is here. Okay. The first question is, give evidence that buffering is taking place in D2. You come to D2. When you check D2, the settlements, the streets are here, and then there's a cemetery here, then there's a space before you reach the rivers. So that space clearly indicates that buffering is taking place. Space exists between the river and streets. Okay. What is the purpose of buffering when this block? Okay, to protect the water source. Which is the river. You can also look at buffering taking place because they because buffering is taking place because you can avoid drowning in the river and so on and so forth, or accidents in the river. The part of block B1 on the topographic map. If you go the map and look at B1, B1 is here. Okay. If you look at B1, the first question is, what is data layer? Data layer. The layer the layer that can be put on top of the other. Then identify the type of data layer that is the type of transport data layer. Transport data layer, obviously, is a road. When you check the map here, you see that within this block, there is a road here, there is another road here. So that is transport. Which one is indicating transport? Nothing. Then the last one is referred to I in block B1. Come here,
I is here in block P1. This is I. What's the first question? Why would transport data layer in that question cause traffic congestion on roads? Because there are very many intersections. One, there are very many intersections. If you look at that layer, there are very many intersections. There are very many intersections. Here at I, there are very many intersections. Roads intersecting each other that can cause accident, most especially during road shading. Okay, many intersections on the. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for listening.